Peace, family, peace. We are live on CPT time. All right, so I'm waiting for Kieaun to join me. And he is on the way, got stuck at work. So we definitely apologize. But I guess that's one of the reasons why we went from Facebook Live to YouTube Live. So that, for one, Facebook removed one of our lives before. So I'm not saying that we're really protected on YouTube, but we definitely have a better feature of saving. So we'll be getting started in just a moment. How is everyone? Let me go ahead. It's been a long day for me. Okay. So much has been going on. Um, Let me see if it's gonna be on in a minute. Yeah, it'll be on in a second. Whew. True, true, true. I'm gonna put you on peace, peace.
Can you see me?
I can let me make sure that you. I'm like I think my microphone.
Say that again. Say that one more time. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Are we on? Because I can't hear you. Oh, okay. Okay. Say something.
Okay. Lord have mercy. So,
You're a hard woman to stay in touch with.
man, listen. Can you hear me now?
I can.
You can't.
I can.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I can hear you perfectly fine, though.
So,
I'm not giving you any feedback, Emma.
at all.
Okay.
No, no.
Okay, cool.
How you doing?
I'm excellent. How you doing?
I can't complain. I can't complain. Well, the internet is getting on my nerves, but other than that, I think I'm doing well.
I can dig that. That's good to hear. It's very good to hear.
You sleepy? You had a long day?
It's been one. We good, though. We okay. We
It's
good.
been a ooh.
What happened?
Oh, I got a message. You know, I'll be working all night, until I fall asleep and then wake up to work.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
That's good.
So I think we got a good I think the weekend, I say the past few weeks have been quite interesting. And when we were, it just makes me have, I have a lot of questions. I definitely have a lot to say, a lot of opinions.
Yeah, I
Just
can understand.
it's just the nature, who I am. But let's get to it since we late. So, I have a question to ask you.
Shoot.
With all the recent events that we're having right now, well, is it true that the black man has no friends
No, I'm
as a
not.
man?
I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. Um, I will say his friends are scarce, but I'm not gonna say he don't have any friends at all. I mean, just speaking from my own experience, I've run into some pretty dark pockets in the world and found friends in some of the strangest places. Um, and I mean, they might not always be where you expect them to be, but for some reason they end up there. So I'm never gonna say I don't have any friends. Um, Hell, I know black men in some of the most dire circumstances that still find a friend. So no, I would never say that we don't have any friends. Now, whether we have friends in the in so-called high places, that may be a different story. In terms of but we do have friends.
Okay, okay. Well, it's kind of, i guess it's I guess it's a sticky situation because it affects us, even today.
Uh-huh.
Especially, I surf social media most of my days, and mostly for work. But within that, I encounter, you know, kind of what prompted, this platform that we've created, and um, it was very telling today, and it was crazy because it's the time when this is what we were going to be focusing on today. I actually, like, it was a brother. Let me see if I can find. He made a statement about women, and women actually got him suspended off of Facebook. And I believe, it was a very honest and true statement in reference to, his statement basically is that black men don't have to worry about too many things because the person who would take him down would be a black woman. And it's very telling when I went back and forth through the different pages, because I think our biggest problem when it comes to most black women is, they're still following this ideology of feminism, which was never for us. It was never for us, because when it was created at a time when what was happening to white women were not happening to us. We had our men. Um, we were brought into this situation, and it's like a new age feminism right now. It's a it's crazy. The comments. I'm gonna read you one post because
Hold on, not to cut you off. So wait a minute. He said he got online and he said that if a black man falls, it'll be a black woman who takes him down.
basically that's what he was saying.
And
Yep.
you're telling me, in turn, black women had his page shut down. I mean,
Yes.
just think about what I just said. Now, I mean, I had to, no, it's what you just said, but I had to process what you was telling me. So you saying that he said that if he gets taken down, it'll be by a black woman, and black women in turn proved him right by taking his damn page down.
Right, and I'm gonna read. This was his comment that he made. His comment said, "Black men are more likely to be killed and abused by black women, but you don't see me hating my sisters." That was his comment that got his page shut down. He got suspended for 3 whole days.
So he got suspended. Say his what's his comment again?
Let me go back to it. It said, "Black men are more likely to be killed and abused by black women, but you don't see me hating my sisters." That's deep on so many levels.
Oh boy.
That's deep.
Um. Woo. Think about this. What do you think made them so angry that they wanted this page shut down for saying such a thing?
Well, I think that a lot of times, because have fallen victim to it, is that, well, one, I'm definitely not. I don't like being put into one basket of women, right? Because there are many types of women. However, in the same breath of that, you know, women tend to get highly offended by the truth. And the truth is that, because when black men are taken down, 9 times out of 10 is by a black woman. And I'm not talking about the police, or I'm not even talking about nothing systematically, because we have to stop using that as a crutch, in my opinion. We use
Well,
that too often.
let me ask
So
you
let
this.
me
Oh, I'm
let me
sorry. Go
say,
ahead. You go ahead.
I, I apologize. So this is how I found this particular brother, right? So it was one of my original Facebook friends. He made a post and said, "Y'all get black men to talk about their mental health issues for screenshots, and it shows." So
I
I
thought I
went.
saw that on the page. That was on the page. You put that on the page, right?
I think I put it on Instagram.
Okay. Okay.
So I came on and was like, "That's horrible." Point them raggedy bitches out. Because we can't ask black men to express themselves, and then when they do, we shame them and try to put them down and whatnot. So that's how that discussion really started, was from that original post. And then that led me to this brother, that led me to this sister's page. Now, let me find this sister's page, because she made a post that was, in my opinion, quite disturbing. But she feels that she is absolutely right in her thought process. Um, but what were you going to say while I find that?
No, I want to listen so I can make sure I'm getting it all. I'm gonna put it all
Okay.
together. I gotta make sure I'm getting it all.
So let me see. So I'm not going to mention the sister because I'm not going to give her what she wants, and that's clout and a whole bunch of, you know, because that, that's very disturbing, very very disturbing.
Hmm. I agree.
And I find it crazy that he would be reported for that.
You think that's crazy?
I do, and because I do.
That
Yes,
ha- that happens more than you think.
I'm finding that out. I'm finding that out, and I
Uh,
guess I get the biggest thing. My problem is that it affects me as a black woman
well,
because
yeah,
again, it put huh?
it definitely does have it definitely has a trickle down effect. I just find
Okay,
it
I found her.
I just think it's ironic that he said if he get most likely if he gets shut down, it's gonna be by black women, and they just shut his ass down. But you know what? If you look through our social media in reality, you'll see a bunch of uh, you'll see a bunch of commentary about black people. You'll see a bunch of women criticizing black men. You'll see a bunch of men criticizing black women. But I'm gonna tell you a key difference. Rarely do you see a bunch of men attacking a channel to get it pulled down. Regularly, you will see women try to band together to get people pulled down. Now, I'm not sure exactly why that's the case because YouTube is any social media is a form for you to express yourself, but they feel the need to call it hate speech or whatever you call it. But it typically happens when you're getting closer to the truth. You understand what I'm saying? Like when you touch a nerve, that's what would make somebody go to, and it's not everybody's truth, but that's what would make somebody get so irate that they would focus on having your channel pulled down because they're probably trying to stop your message. And it's typically based on any criticism. And that's just based on my observation. It's never happened to me.
Right,
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't put it past it possibly happening to me. You know.
right. I guess we have a lot to unpack.
Well, I mean, in
We have a lot to
actuality,
unpack.
think about it. If you think about what you're saying you can't tell brothers to express themselves, but then shame them when they do. What do you think happens if you don't shame them? If they get to say what they want, if they get to say what they feel.
They're gonna say the truth, but see,
Well,
they say a truth that because see, we talk about problems all the time, right? We always talk about the problems, and I'm speaking as from a woman's standpoint. We always talk about the problems, and I think that we collectively do that. But I'm just saying, I only can speak for women that we do talk about. A lot of us talk about problems more than we talk about the solutions because on both sides we need to be held accountable and are guilty in some way, shape, or form. However, I am definitely, a firm believer that, us as women being the first teachers, that it is very important that we acknowledge our role in the type of men, the culture of men that we are seeing today. I think that's very important, and I don't think a lot of women are wanting to do that because even this sister where this engage started, she's only 23 years old. She
oh, well,
really,
her
really
opinion
20.
don't count. Then she ain't grown enough yet. She just
Right,
she fresh off the porch. She don't even know enough. She just mad for no damn reason. She's 23 years
right.
old. I mean, you can't.
That's exactly what I had to
In
say.
actuality, listen, when you're talking about solutions, anybody in their early 20s, that they're not at that table. They're still at the kiddie table. It takes experience in life to actually understand the solutions that we're going to need. So you have to have lived through something. It's more than just hearing about something on the internet. Uh, and I remember being 23. I didn't know a whole lot about life. I mean, I knew my name, I knew little basic stuff, but in terms of this sort of math problem, I didn't know where to begin to even, even right now at the age of stage that I'm at, I have a lot of questions. But I know at 23, I couldn't even begin to process what it meant. So and
Right.
that's not to discredit the young lady. It's just like, you find that for some reason the younger generation is really pissed off, you know. And it would be good to hold the show to sit down, hopefully gather something together and see if they'll be willing to talk about it. But it seems as though they took the pissed off from the last generation and built upon it. Uh, and it's a little bit more intense. You know what I mean? They got a lot to say, and you can't say that they don't have anything to say. You can't say that what they're saying is invalid, but you got to give it, 23-year-old credit. You know what I mean? They got a long way to go.
Right. I have to agree. Definitely, because one, what it is, what it is that she's saying is based on her very own experience. And in my opinion, you haven't experienced much at 23.
Well, what did she say?
Um what happened?
What did she say?
Okay, so I'm gonna read a post that she made. Let me pull it up and I'll read it. Mm, mm, Let me get back to it. So I am living, breathing evidence that the black community's biggest controversy always involves a black woman having the audacity to think for herself and not kiss black men's asses. Anytime you see the black community coming together to fight someone and it's not a white man, they are fighting, then just know it's because they are dragging a black woman who said something factual about black men and therefore offensive. I make statements on my page based on my own perception because I have that freedom of speech, whether y'all want me to have it or not. Yet I have black people treating me like I'm Hitler and like I need to be executed. Even black women say I deserve to be dead. Meanwhile, Zimmerman is still eating 3 meals a day, but y'all shook over 23-year-old black woman on the internet. I'm about to just enjoy my day and mind my business. So I think where the original statement was from the day before, right? So
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna do. So this one was the one that had the most, I think, the most input. And it basically, okay, so this it says patriarchy is obviously a deeply flawed system, but which which let me not even say that. But black men are hilarious to me because they don't even know how patriarchy works. How do you feel at something that benefits you? I see why other races of men be laughing at them. They don't even know how to use their male privilege. Laughing my ass off. They only use it to bully black women and children. How unproductive and weak. They don't use it to stabilize any type of community economics, and they would never use their male privilege to put their race of women on a pedestal where other races of people know they can't come for us without consequences. Like other races of men do at the very least with their patriarchy. Newsflash, you buffoons. You honor the white man's status when you praise and protect white women. You are nothing but a pawn in their never ending victory. You're their puppet. Why? Because you can't build, protect, and conquer with your own community when you're too busy doing exactly that for another community. Other races of men would never collectively disown their race of women because they know it is impossible to have all the privileges and resources circling within their own community if they run it if they run it to give it away to other communities while denying their women access. They also know they would look like complete buffoons if they collectively painted the women of their race to be undesirable while also deeming themselves the most suitable, like black men do. That's exactly what black men do. You give your last to white women and you think you're getting back at black women by doing that. But we have always had to support ourselves. So really, you're only making yourself look a donkey, and nobody respects you at all, and you are a threat to literally no system because all you do is antagonize black women and you'll never challenge the white man, and you'll go into the grave as literal comedy without ever making a mark, and that's why you are the weakest link.
And that's the
That's a
20.
lot.
That's the 23-year-old young lady, right?
Correct.
She said some pretty interesting things. I mean, very goofy in a lot of ways, but I mean, interesting. I say interesting because of the frame of mind that she's in. Um, for one, I, representing black men, we the biggest threats on the goddamn planet. Even in the midst of the confusion that we go through, even with the economic imbalance that exists, for some reason, the entire target is placed on keeping me on a slippery slope. And it has been like that for many, 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 many years. So you have to be a threat to something if that's the case. That's one thing. For two, her as a black woman lacks an understanding that she is a product of a black man. Meaning all of us that stand in this black skin, we all come from black men originally. And we are incubated through our mothers. So I don't think she realizes that what she's saying about him applies to her as well. Um, Meaning what she feels about him applies to her. She can't validate who he is. She can't make or break who he is as a man. His struggle is his struggle, and he'll find his way out of that struggle. What she also pointed out was the denying of resources, which means she acknowledged who he was to her without willingly acknowledging it. If he can deny her resources, who is he to her? If she can complain about who he is and what he's doing with the resources that he has, who is he to her?
Right.
So maybe if she took the approach to acknowledge who he is to her, he would extend those resources to her. Because just like she needs something from him, he needs something from her. May not be the same resources. Um, I think the most disheartening part about that whole thing is she's 23 and she's already uh, pretty much given up. Because if she's given up on him, she's given up on her. I mean, because in actuality, how do I say it? Okay, maybe I started it off wrong. When she said that black men do nothing but attack black black women and children, I wish I understood exactly what that
Now,
meant.
what I will say, you know, because you did say a lot, and a
Hmm.
lot of it is not true. Is not false. It's not false because me personally, it does at times feel like I'm constantly attacked by black men. And I say that, remember in the beginning, I was saying that a lot of women, and anytime I say women, of course, I'm talking about black women, but us as women, we do feel, I know I feel that I'm put in a box of that all women are the same. And so, there are certain instances, like Amanda Seals. I'm not that type of woman. However, her actions and the things that she has done gives a bad taste. And then, black men will drag her. Does she deserve to be dragged? Absolutely. But then what happens is that unless I come in, you don't even know me, but you are taking that out on me. What you know what I'm saying? And I think that is kind of the premise of what she was saying, in essence, because men are a lot of men and black women, okay, never saying that, not excluding one without the other, but a lot of men are angry right now. And
Oh, I can
so
tell. I can guarantee you what you just said is absolutely, positively fucking correct. I'm not gonna deny that. But I want you to act. I want you to go back to something you said earlier. You said women are the first teachers, right?
right.
What did they teach him about her? Because she's the first teacher. So what did he learn about her? If that's how he feels, if as a collective unit you feel put in a box, there's a reason you feel put in a box. That means you're constantly being bombarded by this conversation from black men in regards to black women, right?
Right.
Now, coupled with what you said earlier, if you, being the mom of the culture, is the first teacher, and what he learned was to have what is described as a certain disdain, why do you think that is? Because it would be a little different if it was one or two cases, but what you describe is, and what you're saying she describing, is a lot, to
A
the point where,
consensus.
yeah, it's like it's overbearing in a sense, or it feels overbearing. Not even if it's not, it feels overbearing, and it doesn't sound like it feels good.
No, it doesn't.
I can
And I would
understand.
have to. I would have to, and I would have to, and I would have to agree. And I think that is also where a lot of the issue comes in at, because black women don't want to really talk about that part
Well,
of it.
well, see, you
Even
can't get around that part because that's why he's pissed off. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like, what child do you know born pissed off?
right,
You know what I'm saying? Over time, they become that kind of pissed off. You know what I mean? Um, so it makes you like, I can only speak for myself, but I know for a fact that I have a lot of reasons to just not trust the situation based on what I seen growing up, the things that I heard and the things that I seen. So the motives that I saw behind the movements, if you're in a young age and you're seeing the art of manipulation up close and personal, and that art of manipulation is widespread. It's a strong teaching. It's not saying all black women are like this, because I know some that just don't like the thought process at all. However, there's a very strong uh, there's a very strong voice within our community that pretty much says, from the time that he is brought into the world, that you ain't shit. You understand what I'm saying? Now, And it's basically put off to you like you ain't shit and I am, you know. So, and again, I can't speak for every black man, but when you're put into that and you find out that that's not the truth, that's not a good feeling. So you would have to think it's a reason that group of sisters attacked that man for saying what he said about black women taking black men down. There's a reason that they felt the need to have him taken off the page. You understand what I'm saying? Um,
Right.
I'm not sure if you've ever been to child support court, but you should see the high fives and the hand clappings and the snappings that happen in child support court, which compromise a relationship between a father and his child. That's not gonna make you feel good. And a lot of times that starts happening early in life, you know. And I can already look at the clock and tell this particular show is gonna have a part two because it's a very interesting show. It's a very good conversation, and you're right, it's a lot to unpack. Because just as I have my thoughts about things, she has her thoughts about things at 23. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know what her story is because all of our thoughts are based on our story, which is a painful
Right.
one collectively. You understand? It's a very painful story, and hurt people hurt people. We don't know the magnitude of what that hurt will be, but we do know hurt people, and we are a hurt people. So when you're talking about healing that, that's something that we're gonna have to figure out collectively. Because if you ask me what I think the answer is, I couldn't tell you how to bring about that trust. Because what it sounds like to me is you got a slight distrust for me, and I got a slight distrust for you. It's really gonna be hard to put anything together when you have that in play. You know, it's not something that you might, it's not an energy you might want for me, and it's not something that I want for you. However, it is the situation. And if we don't acknowledge that to be the case and figure out how to bring it closer, you know, if we're dancing around conversations, it's not going to work.
Right. I mean, if we're getting mad at someone else's truth, to the extent, like even in this situation, we're mad at this person's truth. Um, we feel like we should report and and affect. You know what I'm saying? We feel like we should report, we should block, we should cut off
Well, that's a
without
sucker move
addressing
anyway,
the
though.
issue.
That's a sucker move anyway, though. Like I see posts all
Indeed.
the time that I don't necessarily agree with, but I don't block them. I just keep going. I scroll past them. That's why I said it was
Right.
something that makes them say, "I'm taking this down. I'm having it taken down." He struck a nerve somewhere.
Right.
You know,
Right. I agree.
he had to strike a nerve somewhere, and he hit somebody. He triggered something in somebody. Um, but that doesn't mean that that's not the truth. I mean, I'm sure if you put a panel of 100 of them together, you got to think if 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 it's a systematic, if it becomes so systematic that you having a kid, you finna be separated from that fucking kid, that's a problem. You're probably not gonna like
Right.
who does that to you. You understand what I'm saying? That probably is not gonna be your favorite person.
Right.
You know, um, and in terms of the disrespect, I don't see disrespect happen to me throughout my day. And when I do see it happen, it typically will happen from a black woman just for nothing. Whether you held the door open for her and she just held her head open for you. But that doesn't mean I haven't had days to where I might not have had the best day and a black woman didn't come make my day with just something she said. You understand what I'm saying? But the first thing that I mentioned happens way more. You understand what I'm saying?
I definitely get, and I think that so that goes back to this basket. We have to one learn critical thinking, right? Because and I'll have to admit it took me a moment to get to that place too, because when men would say certain things, and not and even do certain things, I would be offended or I would be in immediate defense. But then I had to, and I'm still at times, depending on who the man is, I really have to sometimes take a step back and realize that he's not talking to me. Not He's not talking about me. He's talking about the women that he has experienced in his life. He's speaking of his mother, his aunties. He's speaking of the girl cousins that he knows, his sisters, and things of that sort, or just the examples of women that he has come in contact with. And so I have to not ask why, but I have to ask how you came to this conclusion. I think that's one of the questions that we don't ask enough. We always say, well, why? Or who, or even what, instead of how did you come to this conclusion? You know what I'm saying? How is it that you feel this way? Because people don't come to certain conclusions or even act out just because. It's typically a reason as to why they are acting out. And so I think that a lot of us don't don't do that, because it did take me a while to not be offended when a man comes on and talks about how women are gold diggers and how black women don't support black men, because it wasn't, because I think I've supported black men my entire life. So that's highly offensive to me. But then I have to put myself in his shoes and realize that he couldn't be talking about me. He
Yeah, I mean,
can't be talking about me.
if you know that ain't your truth, that can't offend you. If you know you've been supportive, that shouldn't offend you. That's just like when a woman says all niggas ain't shit. I don't get offended by that because that's not who I am. You understand what I'm saying? That's just
Right,
probably the nigga she decided to deal with. You understand what I'm saying? And at the end of the
right.
day, whether it be man or woman, if they laid with them, they equal to them, and in some shape, form, or fashion. So, I think that's kind of foolish to even go that particular direction. Um, to answer your question as to how you end up there, I know for myself, one of the ways I ended up in a lack of trust place is, like I told you, I seen too much early in life. I heard too many behind the scene conversations. What's up out there, world? How y'all doing? We're gonna try to get this shit figured out. I don't know how successful we're gonna be. We're gonna try to get
You don't know how successful what?
it. I said we're gonna try to get this shit figured out. I was telling the people. But yeah, I just know for me, I heard a whole lot of behind the scenes stories from, like you said, mothers, aunties, cousins. You gonna learn some game when they don't think you're listening.
Right, right. And we've talked about this before. I don't think we've had it in any show yet. We've just talked about it, and really just our communication and our prep. I had to, I really had to, because one, like you said, we all have different stories, right? And we all come from different backgrounds. And so, one of the biggest things that, like, what was prominent and it's still being said, but I think that we've kind of moved away from it, from saying that black men don't protect us. Why aren't you protecting us? But then it goes back to, like you said, what you witnessed as a child, and what you were not necessarily. I think a lot of black men were told that they're not shit. I think a lot of boys were told that based on who their father was
Well, I mean, think
to their
about it.
mother.
If you tell a boy his father ain't shit, what do you think he's gonna think of himself? If you don't, you got a lot of this. A lot of the self esteem issues go back to broken homes. It really does go back to the broken home situation. People are scattered everywhere. Um, that has a lot to do with the self-esteem issues that a lot of our children and a lot of our adults face now. You know,
Right.
it's a lot of
Right.
it's a lot of reeling happening just from that nobody wants to admit because in their mind it's regular, but it's really not normal.
Right.
It's very abnormal. It's just become normal in our dysfunction, if that makes any sense. So a lot of problems
Right.
stem from there. And see, if you start talking about that, you're gonna get your damn page brought down. Cause see, you somebody can take your goddamn page down. So you start talking about that shit, cause you you damn sure for not be on that motherfucker for 30 days. If you get to talking about that shit, I can tell you that now. But and that's where the problem comes in. You ain't gonna get to no solution if you can't talk about all of it. You know, you,
Right.
you know, you
Right.
can you can talk about all the systematic bullshit, but you gotta talk about your internal system that's broken like a motherfucker before you start talking about the governmental system that you want to try to address from the inequities in that particular system. You won't even address your own damn system that got flaws that got flaws. So to me that's just kind of foolish. That whole approach is foolish to me. And
Right.
and and, and not to cut you off,
No,
but
go ahead.
you don't want to cut him off from saying something because he got something to say. He like Andre at the 95 Source Awards. The man got something to say. He got something to say, And see his voice
Right.
is only gonna get louder. It's not gonna stop. You know what I mean? If you notice, you can't stop it. It's just getting louder and louder. You know what I mean?
Right.
After a
Right.
while, he gonna roar. That's just nature.
Right.
That's his nature. Eventually he gonna get mad enough to just he gonna make it change. And maybe that's the plan.
Right.
Maybe that's how it was written. But you can hear him getting louder and louder. You're not gonna stifle him. He done been through too much to just completely stifle him.
Right.
You
I
know,
agree.
you know.
I
So
definitely agree.
it may be a hard conversation, but it's still got to be a conversation to be had. And at the end of the day, even as men, we do have to acknowledge that we have flaws. We do have to acknowledge that. But that's the thing. We have to. We're forced to. You know, we
Right.
we should all be forced to. You know, nobody should be able to
I
escape
agree.
their accountability. That's all I'm saying. That's all men are saying. Like men be pissed off because they have to be accountable for things, and women really don't have to. And they
Yeah,
get
I
to
agree.
they get to make the decisions, but he got to be accountable for their decisions, and that be pissing him off a little bit. You gotta pay the cost to be the boss. You can't just be the damn boss and somebody else gotta foot the damn bill. That ain't how that's supposed to damn work.
I definitely agree, and I think that's a lot of what the problem is as well. And I say it a lot of times, a lot. That women are rewarded for fucking up. You know what I'm saying? And even and we can bring that's even systematically. And the system was created, they're definitely playing us against each other. And it goes back to the 60s and 70s and the 80s that have developed the men that we are the men that I have to deal with now, and as well as those who were birthed and had these children that are 19, 20, 21 years old, that have these strong views and outlooks on life. So it definitely all trickles back. The thing is, how do we hold, yes, we must discuss it, right? But at this point, those women are what, 50, 60, 70 years old, that were raising the single mothers who were raising men that are our age and in their 40s, raising those that are in their 30s. We really at this point can't hold them accountable, but we do have to, because how could we? How could we? But we can't deny that it happened that way. And until we are able to do that, I don't think that we're going to ever, we have not moved from the 70s, from the things that, from the 70s, the 80s, from the crack era. We have not moved past that in reference emotionally.
Well, I
We're
mean,
dealing, we're dealing with the repercussions of it, but we have never addressed, like you said, we have never addressed single mothers on purpose keeping their daughters, keeping their sons away from their fathers. We have not addressed that properly because in 2018, 19, I will say that there is a no deadbeat dad movement. Men are absolutely being there and they're fighting for their children.
they
They're
have to
not just,
fight. Think about it. You got to fight to be a dad. God damn it. You can't just be one. You got to fight. God damn it. You got to get up every goddamn day and fight to just do what the fuck you supposed to do for your kid. Just, I just want you to think. Now, are you gonna like
but
somebody who's making
I
you
feel
fight
you.
to get your kid? You know, that's just
I
not something
feel
you're gonna
you.
like. You know.
I absolutely, I'm not, I don't disagree with you. However, it's a difference from the 70s and the 80s. Brothers were not fighting, even though I totally get your point. They just was like, you know what, fuck it.
Well, you know, I was a
When they get grown, I'll find them because I, you know,
I
that
was a
that
product of that.
that.
You know, I was a
So
product
that's
of
what
that too. You know, it's not cool. That's not cool. You're absolutely correct.
so. But what I'm saying is that men are definitely not giving up on their children in this day and age. Is what
Well,
I'm
you
saying.
got to know why.
However, we're
You have to
still
understand
fighting.
why.
But
You got to know
I
why.
do. But I mean, well, I do. You know what I'm saying? But I also feel like it's because we have never addressed what happened in the 70s and the 80s. We don't talk about it at all. We don't talk about those women. We don't hold
Well,
those women, we don't hold toxic mothers accountable as we should.
well, you have to understand the process now. Think about it now. I just think about it for a second. You have your mother. You have this child, right? They don't have a father around. There's only one story that this kid can go based on, and it's her story, right?
Right.
Now, one part of this story is you do not criticize your mom. You can say fuck your dad with everything you have, but under no circumstance are you to ever criticize the one parent that you do have because I was here. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't deserve any criticism, right? Now, that's not necessarily very realistic, but it is realistic if that makes any sense.
Explain
Nobody
it.
nobody walking the face of the fucking planet is above criticism. Nobody on this planet has it so right that be they can't be critiqued in order to make it better, right? So if you are raising children and they're terrified of this person that they love, then that becomes the rearing. So you're conditioned to never criticize one aspect of it, and you're conditioned to criticize the other aspect of it. Now,
Deep.
now check this out. This is the crazy part. This is the crazy part for me as a black man. Everybody with a black face criticizing black man came from the nutsack of a black man. Meaning they wouldn't even be here if he didn't get horny or something, you know. Even if he was drunk and got whatever the hell, whatever makes them able to be here, it started from him, you know. So,
Right.
as one of the him representatives of this particular community, it is quite appalling that this community that you have been so gracious enough to give birth to would turn around and get pissed off at you because of all the problems that it has when you know damn well that they didn't make all the decisions for the problems to come about.
Whew,
You
I
understand what I'm
agree.
saying? Do you understand what I'm
I
coming
do.
from with that? It's like you know for a
I,
fact that the decisions over your life, your father probably didn't make. From the school you went to the religion that you probably studied, to whatever household you went in, to you know, he probably didn't make a lot of those choices, even if he made some. So for him to get all of the back, not saying he don't deserve some, but for him to get like the collective amount of the backlash when you know damn well he wasn't there to make the choices, you know, that's are you really gonna like somebody who does that to you? You know what I mean? Because you're the bad guy and you didn't really have a lot of say in it. You know what I'm saying?
well, that's why I say that it's different in this day and age because back then, and I know it's kind of redundant. I know it's definitely redundant to keep saying, you know, fight to be there, right?
Oh
Because
man.
why should you have to fight to be a father, right? A
Well,
lot of
yeah, that is a very, very good question.
but a lot of black men back then gave up. So, I think that's where a lot of the critique comes in now because even in this day and age, when children, they see their fathers fighting for them.
But you
Those
know what?
fathers who want to be
I
involved,
don't.
there's nothing that could keep them away from their children, no matter what.
Well, that you know.
Children, I don't think we give children enough credit.
Well, you know, I think children are actually smarter than the adults in most cases. To be completely
I
honest with you.
absolutely agree.
Um,
I
I'm
absolutely
just gonna,
agree.
I'm gonna keep it 100. You got to respect the youth. You know, they were the last. They were the last ones to come from the Most High, so they have a different sort of enlightenment in a sense, where some of us have been conditioned in a very messed up way. Um,
Right.
I think a lot of the men in the last generation really didn't know what they were up against. You know what I mean? Because you got to know at around the time that the crack
Hmm.
epidemic hit, you know, that child support thing, that was somewhat new. It wasn't really, you know, they start pushing the accelerate, you know, they pushed the accelerator on that in the late 70s. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of
Right.
times you don't know what you fighting up against. You don't really know how to fight it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't think a lot of men knew that they would really be separated from their kids throughout the duration of their life when a lot of those deals were taken. You understand what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And then you have to also understand the bitterness that comes along with being separated from your child. You know, men and women are a little bit different in terms of how they deal with emotion. Um, and
I'll take that. I can
you
I
know,
can I can definitely I can definitely definitely I can definitely I can definitely I can definitely grasp where you're coming from in saying that because just in conversations that I have with men, we could be saying the same thing, but we would say it in two different complete ways.
mm-hmm.
We would express it in two different complete ways as well. So I absolutely grasp it, and I think that's what we need to address first
Yeah.
before before we talk about working on relationships. Because how can we talk about relationships when a lot of people didn't have one proper relationships as an example, or didn't have, or how can you talk about relationships with a man and you didn't have a relationship, as women, and if you didn't have a relationship with a man, because your father is your first example of what a man is. And so if you were denied that, then you are, again, just like, you speak of yourself, but let's talk, they had sisters, right? So they seen the same things happen, but from a different emotional perspective. You feel what I'm saying? So if she didn't have a relationship with her nature, with her original, with her father, with the person who was supposed to show her what a man is, and it was only based on the things that her mom said, that men ain't shit, Your daddy ain't shit. He ain't doing this, he ain't doing that. So again, you move forward feeling as well that men ain't shit.
This is your rearing. Yeah, absolutely.
So you move forward with that. And so we have a whole bunch of children who have grown up, and I'll say they have gotten older in age, because that just because you are a certain age doesn't mean you've grown up in no way, shape, or form. However, we how can we talk about relationships when majority of us did not have a relationship with a man and a woman in order to know how to interact with the man? Because even from like elementary school, we said this before. Elementary school, you remember a little boy hit you and your mom said, oh, he likes you. That means he likes you. And that subconsciously makes you feel. That's why you have women today who feel like, if a man ain't either hitting on them or yelling or being jealous or popping through windows, that they don't love them, or that they don't like them, or that they don't really care about them. See, it's a lot of
Hold
psychological
on, wait a
things.
minute. You mean to tell me women really believe that?
Man, listen, just today, they were having a discussion on a few different threads um, about good pussy, right? And how it makes a man go crazy, and how some women like, I've never experienced that, and people like, well, that must mean that you ain't got it. Whoa. That determines like that determines anything.
Hold
No,
on, wait a
you've
minute.
just chosen.
Were these adults having this conversation?
Yeah, these are these 90 babies. These are these babies that are 24, 25. That age group we were talking about last night, I'm gonna have to include the 23-year-old now, from 23 to 32 years of age. These are the reasonings that they have. If a man ain't, like, what was it, like, what how good is it? Did he break your phone, or something else crazy, like he has to damage your property, or saying, has to cause some type of physical harm to you, has to yell and scream at you to prove that he in some way, shape, or form has this dire love for you. That is very, very toxic. That thought process is toxic, because the man, if you had your father, the man who loves you is not beating on you. But it goes back to kindergarten subconsciously. It goes back to kindergarten when your mama said, that means he likes you because
Wait a
he
minute.
hitting you
When
fast.
who said
When you
who said it? Now we talking about the first teacher now, goddamn. Now we got to talk about the first teaching now when we talk about the lessons that's learned now. Yeah.
right. You
Um,
right. Your
I
mama
mean,
said it.
come on now.
You
I mean,
absolutely right.
it's I ain't gonna lie. One day a chick grabbed my damn cell phone off the dresser and just started running up the street. She picked up the phone and called my mom and said I was chasing her. I was watching football the whole goddamn time. Now, you, I don't know what the hell made her do this, but it really happened in real life, right? So it could be that she felt like if I didn't chase her up the street and whatever, that I didn't really love her. And maybe I don't, cause I ain't met a motherfucker yet that made me. I, I thought I had some good twat in my day, but goddamn it, I ain't had a motherfucker yet made me want to jump through the window on her ass or beat her up. That just no, for what? I don't get that. You know what?
Yeah.
I don't even want no motherfucker to like me that much. Just like me a little bit. You ain't gotta like me a whole lot, just a little bit. If that's what it got to make you do, I'm okay with a little bit of like. 3 days a week. You know, I'll be all right. You know, you ain't gotta give me all that. I'm straight. I'm straight. That shit.
Right, right.
That sounds like a lot.
Because the reality is if this same this in this same type of situation, if this man chokes you out, now you're ready to call the police, or are you ready to call, because who can you call? You're not,
Hold on now.
you ready to take it to a level that it should never have gotten. You should never have, so it's a lot. it's
Hold on
it's a
now. Wait a
lot,
minute.
but it definitely all goes back to not seeing and having proper relationships growing up. Everything goes back to our childhood, and I think a lot of people aren't really ready. Like you said, we can't say that mama was wrong. How
Well,
dare we say that mama was wrong when mama was wrong. Mama was wrong, and a lot of things that she did in these single homes. It was definitely, and we're going to talk about it too, because whole culture is a problem. It's
I
a
wasn't
problem,
gonna say the word because that's a whole other show. You know,
right?
we fuck
It
around.
is,
You say whole
yeah,
culture, goddamn, you fuck around and we be struck down off the goddamn page in 5 minutes.
right,
Okay,
right,
so hold on, wait a minute
yeah.
now. A minute ago, you said something about if he don't choke her out. Now, is this for real choking or play choking?
No, what I'm saying. No, not. Yeah, well, see, for real,
You 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 had to
for
think
real,
about
this
that shit yourself, right?
process. Somebody will come on something to the effect. I'm breaking up a little bit. Somebody would come on and say to the effect, that's unhealthy. And she was like, I'm not saying that it's not unhealthy. I'm driving these men crazy. I read that in a comment.
Well,
Like,
and
no, he was already dysfunctional, because, like you said, like he was
he's
already
not the only one
dysfunctional.
dysfunctional, sweetheart. He's not the only one
I,
dysfunctional in that equation, sweetheart. Listen to what she's saying.
exactly.
So,
I'm with
so
you when you're right.
they just two dysfunctional ass people who, and that makes her feel like she has a power, Now
Hmm.
in 7 years, when that box is just absolutely beat the fuck up and the power is gone, then you're gonna see mad than a motherfucker, Cause when you're young, it's a power until that motherfucker ain't got no more grip to it, and then you be mad the motherfuckers. It ain't got no more goddamn grip.
I think that's like when you 70 or 80, because
Oh
that don't
no,
apply. Yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah.
it depends on how much experience she's had. Trust me.
No, it doesn't. It's
Oh yeah,
elastic, and
hey, look, listen. We're talking about this.
now
Listen, we're talking about dispelling myths here. Let's stay on track,
we no, that's not a myth. That's science.
sweetheart.
It's
Sweetheart,
elastic.
sweetheart.
It's a
That's another show.
it's
But
elastic.
listen, before we
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
before we
Yeah.
before before we
Oh,
leave
so
this subject, I will tell you that's another show. But the body count
oh,
does matter. Her body count matters. Okay.
I'm gonna leave that.
Do I have to teach you
I'm not going.
everything, April? I, matter of fact,
to
you know
No,
what?
you didn't.
I guess I'm gonna have to hold lessons or something. I mean, come on now.
No, you don't, sweetie. One thing I definitely know is the female anatomy, and that's
Don't tell me it's a whole culture and the body count don't matter now, April. Don't do that to me
no,
now.
no. What I'm saying is that the whole culture has been encouraged, and has been glorified
And
to a
that's why
point where we're not connecting with men properly because of it. I'm not
no, ain't no
saying
connection.
because it's we'll make it a whole nother show, but it's elastic and it's a muscle, and if you work it properly, you should never lose it. I'm sorry.
I believe that. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
I
I'm
believe
not.
that. I believe it's a muscle, and if you work it properly, I get all that. I get all
Right. Kegels exist
that. Kegels,
for a reason.
Kegels.
Right. Yes. So
Clap
we
for
want we
Kegels.
are
We clap for Kegels over here. We recommend Kegels. That's what we recommend. We clap for those. Kieaun ain't the only magic K word. Kegels is it too. Goddamn it, we like those.
yes.
We
Yes.
encourage those.
But a lot of but I do feel that the whole culture has affected the interaction. It's not a proper interaction. It's more of an exchange.
It
What
affects the
I
spirit, and it affects the spirit.
woo,
It affects the spirit
absolutely.
tremendously. And again, that's a whole different kind
Absolutely.
of, and that's on men and women. You understand what I'm saying? So
Right.
and that's a whole different show topic for a whole nother day. But that the
Right.
it can the body count is more about the spirit connection than the actual interaction of the physicality. You understand what I'm saying? Because
Right.
I already know you're built for wear and tear. I get that part. You know what I mean? I understand you're built to last. I get that. God ain't make no
Okay,
promises.
good.
I get that part right there. You know what I mean?
Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean,
Good. Good.
I'm just giving my jokes. But the reason that the body count lasts is because if you're mixing spirits with a bunch of different people that you don't know, you will look up and not know yourself, and then you'll look up and not know
I
whether you're
agree.
coming or going. So, and I know I've experienced that a time in my life where it was just like, what the hell am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't really understand the spirit mixing of things. I was still very young because again, they don't teach that in school, and it ain't like you learning that at home either. You hear about
Right.
so that's something that was just, I guess, I would say I started reading about it about 5-6 years ago. But even when you read about it, you still don't just put it into practice right away. Your old habits die hard. You still got to
Right.
mature to that place. So but again,
And I
that's a
have to
different.
go in perspective. From that perception, I agree 1,000% because a lot of people do not recognize. A lot of people do not recognize the spirits that they're taking in.
Shit
Because
now.
if you are having sexual encounters and exchange with someone who is emotionally unstable, someone who is angry, someone who is you're taking in all those emotions as well, and so yes, from that standpoint, body count really does matter,
I mean, I can
because
think of
go
many.
ahead.
I can think of many Friday nights where you just went out, got drunk. She was drunk. Hey, we're drunk. And you go do drunk adult shit. Now you don't really know her. You might know she from Tennessee, but you don't know anything else about her. You know what I'm saying? She don't
Right,
know you.
right,
But y'all done the damn thing. Like y'all know each other, like for real, for real. You know what I'm saying? And that's
right.
there. That
And
don't just
alcohol aren't called spirits for a reason.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. They don't call that spirits for nothing. That's real deal.
Right,
Yeah, I'm with you.
right. Yeah, yeah. So it's a lot.
We're gonna have to go ahead and we're gonna have to tear it down for the night, but we're gonna have to go ahead and get a little bit deeper. I do like the direction of the show, but you know, to sum it up, we can't be cutting each other off based on feelings. I mean, if you feel like niggas ain't shit, you that's how you feel. You know what I mean? That's how you feel now. I got the opportunity to possibly change your mind if I'm willing to bear and hear what you saying long enough. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm like, oh shit, fuck what she tell, I gotta go. Maybe I proved you right. You understand what I'm saying?
I
Maybe
agree.
maybe I don't have the
I definitely
capacity.
agree.
I might not have the capacity to hear niggas ain't shit no more. I might have heard it too much in my life. I might not be willing to entertain that conversation anymore. You understand what I'm saying? And
I absolutely. Go ahead. I'm
to
gonna
go
let you
back
finish.
to go back to what the 23-year-old young lady said, she said something about black men putting a black woman on a pedestal. But at the same time, he ain't shit. How high is he gonna lift
Right,
you if he ain't shit?
right,
You talking to him like he ain't
right,
shit, but he's supposed to lift you up on a pedestal. So, in essence, he's supposed to agree that you better than him.
right.
but he gotta lift you up though. Why you telling him he ain't shit? Just think about that. You ain't shit for not lifting me up or whatever the fuck. Sounds like a very confusing statement, but I can understand why it's confusing. I mean, I can understand why it's confusing.
Right.
You got men out here who are confused. So if a man is out here confused, women are confused as well.
Right. Right. And just like you said, and I'm on my summary pretty much. Like you said before, you know, those statements are ultimately how she feels about herself, because we are connected and it's no way around it. If you feel like that our men ain't shit, then but you dealing with them. Like, a brother had made a post, and we'll get ready to wrap up. A brother made a post, and it was very, very telling, right? He was like, it's crazy how women will say, like, as an example, they baby daddy ain't shit, he don't do this, he don't do that, and then they'll turn around and have sexual encounters and with another man who don't do nothing for his children.
Well, I mean,
And
a lot of that is nah.
you think so? I
Hell
think it's,
yeah.
again, mental instability, because it's no way that you want a man to be there for your children, but you would be and encourage with a man who doesn't do what you want someone to do for your children.
It happens all the time.
That's a problem.
How do
We
you how
will.
do you think,
That's what I'm saying.
think
You
about
can't
this?
say you can't. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, sweetie. I ain't gonna cut you off.
I'm just saying, you can't say that all men ain't shit. Just like, because that's just not true. Um, just like men can't say all women ain't shit, because it's just not true. The problem is that we are the minority. We are the minority. And so that is, how everyone ends up in one basket, because we see so much we see more dysfunction than we see things actually working how they should work in an actual family unit between a man and a woman. We don't see that, or that we haven't seen that. Many of us haven't seen that enough to have a value in it,
That's because
if
you
that
ain't
makes sense.
seen him in the spot. How you gonna have a show and you ain't got the star to show that?
Right.
I'm just saying, you gotta have, in order to have a show, you have to have your cast members. Otherwise, ain't no, your show is not gonna be taken serious. You know what I'm saying? And that's what
Right.
black folks are right now. They're not taken serious. The world don't take them serious because of how they deal with one another. So they can cry all day about this and that and this, but at the end of the day, they're responsible for how the world sees them.
I agree.
You understand what I'm
I agree.
saying? So you're not gonna get respect from
Absolutely.
you're not gonna get respect from outside entities, and you're disrespecting inside. The world sees you disrespecting.
Whew. Yeah.
The whole world can see that. And at the end of the day, don't talk about you being abandoned as a woman. You were never abandoned as a woman. Black woman ain't never been abandoned as a woman. But
I
if you
agree.
but if you let her say it, if you let her tell her story, in a lot of cases, she'll say that she has, because that's the narrative that she's been sold. She ain't never been abandoned as a woman. If anything, she turned her back on her man, and that's why she feels abandoned, because he's making her feel the repercussions of turning her back on him.
I think that's what's happening in this day and age.
That's
These
what
are
you're
the
seeing.
repercussions.
These are the
These
repercussions
are the
of
consequences.
you got to think. These are
Yeah.
sons and the grandsons of the men that were beat down in previous generations. They are the representatives. So you got to understand, like, my son is my continuation. That's me. You understand what I'm saying? My son is me, so he's an extension of me. So even if it happened to my father, I remember it happening to my father. You understand what I'm saying? That was still my father.
Right.
So since I
Right.
understand what happened to my father, I got a certain eye that I'm looking at things through because I ain't letting it happen to me.
Right.
You
Right.
understand
Remember,
what I'm
that's what I
saying?
was saying. Right. Remember, that's what that, and you said exactly. Remember, as I said earlier, I do honestly believe that is why, and no, that is why. And I know we got to figure out another. Men are not accepting it. I won't even say fighting for it. They're
Mm-hmm.
not accepting it because they did in fact witness it, and you, like you said, they're looking through a different eye and a different perception, so they're not allowing it. However, how do we? We have to also think of, it's a lot. It's a lot. We're gonna have to plot. We're gonna have to
We're
plan
gonna have to sit
because
down and outline a lot of shows, because I'm gonna tell you, you start talking about black pride. It's hard work being black. First of all, it's rough. Like you said, I
right,
got to fight to be a father. I was fighting earlier today to be a goddamn father. It's only 10 o'clock. I'm tired already. I still got a night of work to do. But I have to
right,
fight for my son. You know what I mean? The reason I'm fighting so hard is because I know what it is if you're left alone in chaos. So if I don't fight to keep my eye on it, then I know he gonna get swooped up in some chaos shit.
right,
And I also know the feeling of somebody not fighting for you.
right,
You know what I mean? I heard my
right,
dad tell me the story. I should have fought for you, so that let me know what I should do. I heard my grandfather say, I should have fought more,
right,
so it lets me know what I should do. You understand what I'm saying? I've heard them both say it. So because they said it, I know I have to do it more. Now I don't want to have the story I should have fought more because they already told me they should have. You understand what I'm saying?
right,
So whatever my kid's fight is, whatever my son's fight is, I don't want him to have to fight to be a father. You understand what I'm saying? Hopefully, we
right,
abolish that shit in my generation. Because I got a
right.
feeling my generation is finna take this shit head on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And part of
Y'all
the
are
reason,
though. Y'all definitely are.
yeah, we ain't got no other choice. And part of the reason that young man got shut down early and his page got blocked is because she know his voice means something. And if he
Hmm.
triggers some more voices to start saying shit, they gonna get louder and louder and louder. But you can't stop those brush fires. You understand what I'm saying? Just like just like she collectively has gotten her voice and she feels strong and she feels like she's accomplished some things and she's empowered. That was the first conversation. Now his conversation is on the way. The conversation is not over because she feels empowered and they have the girl groups and those things are fine. But understand, he watched her put groups together that excluded him. Most of her groups exclude him.
Right.
He watching that. You understand what I'm saying? He see that. So in his mind, when she gets an upper hand, she's saying fuck him. And when she don't have an upper hand, she need him. And he ain't no dummy. He might not have graduated summa cum laude from Harvard. He might not be part of the most educated group in the United States of America, but he was wired with an intelligence from a much higher teacher that he will eventually learn how to utilize.
I agree.
And once he learns how to utilize that, you're going to see the entire temperature of the world change. Not just the United States, the entire world. And he's figuring it out. The more and more he
Right.
talks to his brothers, the more and more he starts sharing information. He's putting it together, and once it all gets together, you'll understand when he got it figured out because it's gonna move. It's gonna shake the entire planet. So while the young lady said
I
on one hand that we are powerless, in essence we are the power. We are the voice of the Most High God. We just have not collectively spoken on the same page yet. So she does not know who we are. Just like we don't know who we are all the time. But we're figuring it out. And she will too.
I think that's a good way to end the show.
I think so. I think so. We'll be fine. You know. You have a good night, mama.
You too. I appreciate the time.
As
And we'll
always.
definitely, I appreciate the build. You have a good night. Be safe out there.
As always, you too. Be good.